that you do not understand white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, everything else that you do understand will confuse you.
Mr. Fuller, this comes from Javari.
All of these bad areas of activity.
You and I did a program a few weeks ago. Anyway, he wanted you to know this. He says, Mr. Fuller, based on what you had said, says, tell Mr. Fuller I made out a will like he said. I don't have much, but our people will fight over anything after we die. Do you remember that program, Mr. Fuller, when you mentioned that?
Yes, sir, and I want to emphasize it and emphasize it and emphasize it, because some of the smartest black people who have quite a few assets, lots of things that they're leaving behind if they die, do not have a will. So, I'll say here on this program, in the next 15 minutes, if you can, make up some type of will about where you want things to go when you pass away from this world. Because 10, 15, 20 people will be standing around scratching their heads wondering what to do with what you have accumulated. Because some black people, not nearly enough, have accumulated quite a bit. Land, objects, a car even. Somebody should know what to do with that car without a lot of hassle. And it's just sitting there, and everybody standing around scratching their heads, after the funeral. So, what are we going to do with Aunt Maggie's car? What are we going to do with Aunt Maggie's jewelry? She had some expensive jewelry she always kept that was handed down. Who does it go to? Well, a lot of people have gotten married in the family and all like that, so which one is it going to go to? And then they get to squabbling. Well, we found out that one of those diamonds was worth $750,000. So that's the one that I want. Well, you ain't going to get it. Because, I was just as close to her as you was. So here we go. Black people have enough headaches and enough conflict. And it doesn't take a long time to make out some kind of will. Some people have made wills on the back of some type of cereal box at the last minute, but it is held up in court. Actually, that type of thing has happened. Sign their name to it in front of a witness or two, and it is held up in court. Make up some type of will. But the average lawyer would can handle that at a reasonable sum. So get it done. Okay. Get it done. Whomever you are. If you got anything to leave behind and you think you're not going to be here, or even if you think you're going to be here a long time.
Okay. You're listening to the Counter Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby. And if you would like to get in contact with the show, this is the number, 516-453-9921. When the call screener comes on, give the call screener your name. And if you would like to continue to listen to the program after the conclusion of your phone call, then let me know so that I won't click you off, so that you can continue to listen. You can also contact the show by Gmail, but it won't be read today, but you can do that. It will be read at some time. The number 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY, @gmail.com. You can do that. Put your question on there. And you can go to the chat room. The chat room is full today, but we still have room for more. You can do that by get into the chat room and put your question there, and I may have time to read it. Okay, we got about 31 minutes to go for the conclusion of this show. We're going to go to Everett and Wendell and then James we'll do that in that order, and then we're going to have Mr. Fuller speak about his book about a quarter till the hour. So let's go to Everett in the 832, which is Houston. Everett, do we have you on here? Yeah, okay, let me try it again. Okay,
Morning,
Everett,
sir.
are you there? Oh, yeah, there you go. Good, okay. All righty.
Good morning, Mr. Bobby. Good morning, Mr. Fuller.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yes, I'm at the book where I'm reading about the 4 show-off-isms. The first, when I was reading the show-off-isms, my question is, on the 4th one, it says, stop showing off the information white people told you. What's the difference if I get constructive information from white people and I tell black people, am I showing off?
Oh, constructive information is constructive information. That's a slam dunk. You always give people constructive information. The alternative is what? You give people non-constructive information. And that's not an improvement over anything. We get plenty of non-constructive information. Doing things, all kinds of instructions on how to do something that's non-constructive. That's what the white supremacists are definitely all about. When you see black people doing anything constructive on their own, boy, the white supremacists do not like that at all.
So if I get some
if a
information,
person has black skin walking around on this planet, the white supremacist looks at that black person, and if that black person is doing anything constructive, that constructive activity is supposed to be supportive of the system of white supremacy. If that black person is doing anything, hello?
Then that's, yes, sir. So if I have information, Mr. Fuller, that's non-constructive, and I tell black people or people of color about it, then I'm showing off.
No, it depends on what your purpose is for talking to anybody about anything. And when you talk to anybody about anything, white or non-white, it should produce a constructive result. If it doesn't produce a constructive result, you can call it, you can give it any kind of label, but basically showing off just means you're doing something non-constructive. There are 4 show-off-isms basically on that are listed on page 119.
Yes, sir.
Now, it shows you as an example, showing off to each other the things that white people have allowed them to obtain. That means your car. See, black people get a new car. I want you to come over and look at my new car. Black people get a new house or a new lampshade or something that white people have allowed them to obtain. So you want to show it off. Get that out of your head. Don't do anything to show off. Do something of value. Do something that you can show how it's constructive, whatever you did. But that's on number 1. Black people are notorious for this, particularly in the older days. I mean, that's all black people look forward to all the time. Work hard every day to get something from white people. If you're a maid in a house and the white person gave you some silverware, all right, now you want your cousin, Gloria, to come over and see the beautiful silverware that you got. No, stop showing off, because we're not in a position to show off. We haven't accomplished enough to show off.
Mr. Fuller, is people of color in position to celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas, or is that a form of showing off?
Well, that's a form of waste. I was just thinking about that the other day. Thanksgiving is coming up. I'm pleased that you mentioned that.
Yeah, and Christmas. And I spend all this money, and I realize I go to my grandmother's house, and we all say this, look what I got you. Look what I got you. It's like we competing to each other. And I've been doing it for so long, I feel like I'm under a Christmas spell.
When I stopped doing it, it hurt. I stopped doing all of that years ago, decades ago, many, many decades. It hurt because I was brought up, Christmas, we didn't buy a tree. That was considered almost sacrilegious. Going and buying a tree? No, we went out and cut a tree and brought it in, dragged it in, and set it up and decorated it about 3 days before Christmas. Did the whole 9 yards. And I'm saying, as a recommendation, according to the code, just stop doing it. Somebody asks you, where's your Christmas tree? Take them outside and point to the first tree that you see in a window and say, there's one. I got them all over town. You can drive all over town, you'll see my tree.
They gonna
that's what I actually tell people, even today. I say, you want to know where's my Christmas tree? Hey, just drive all over town. You'll see them. You'll see them. Sometimes the city builds them. Those are mine. I bought them. I paid taxes. Hey, I mean, they're beautiful trees. I got one right down here. I'm in Washington, D.C. Got right down here on the White House lawn. I mean, the president's going to be present. I'm going to look at him on television. He'll be out there with the tree and his wife, all of them shivering there in the cold and whatnot. I'm sitting there looking at it on television, and that's my tree. And if you want to see my tree, go by and take a look at it.
Thank you, Everett. And don't be a
get a big thrill out of it.